Good morning and welcome to World News here on TVP World. My name is Diana Skaya. And we begin with our latest bulletin. A UN Security Council convened for an emergency meeting at Warsaw's request to address Russian drone incursions into Polish airspace. Now, this took place on Friday evening, and during the meeting, Poland's Deputy Foreign Minister Marcin Bosacki reiterated that the mass drone incursion was not a mistake. Polish fighter jets shot down drones in its airspace on Wednesday. Poland also said that Warsaw would not be intimidated and would stand by Ukraine against Russia's war of aggression.
Such incidents happened before, but this time we know that that was the first time since the beginning of Russian full-scale invasion on Ukraine in 2022 that Polish territorial integrity has been purposely violated on such an unprecedented scale. We know, and I repeat, we know that it was not a mistake. The drones that threatened Polish citizens and critical infrastructure were shot down preemptively. Drones are instruments of terror that have shattered homes and communities across Ukraine. 2 days ago, they tried to target Polish homes. This is one of them in a village called Wyryki in eastern Poland. A representative of the Russian Federation claimed that maybe these were not Russian drones. This is the evidence of that, including signs in Russian on the parts of the drone. Poland will not be intimidated. Our resolve to stand with Ukraine and defend the principles of sovereignty and territorial integrity remains unwavering.
Poland's allies have denounced Russia and expressed solidarity with Poland following those recent Russian drone incursions into Polish airspace. The statement came at that emergency session of the UN Security Council, which we just heard, at the request of Poland.
The United States stands by our NATO allies in the face of these alarming airspace violations. The United States is consulting with Poland and our other NATO allies under Article 4 of the North Atlantic Treaty. And rest assured, we will defend every inch of NATO territory.
The United Kingdom stands in full solidarity with Poland and with Ukraine.
It is the solemn duty of this Council to prevent this scenario before it is too late and to stop this madness before it swallows us all. By sending drones to Ukraine and now to Poland, our neighbor, Russia is not just mocking this Council, it is spitting in your face, and yet we politely pretend that it is only raining. If this Council does not act, if it fails to stop this new phase of Russia's escalation, we are not talking about regional instability any longer. We are staring into the abyss of a third world war.
Slovenia strongly condemns this incursion into Polish airspace. It is unacceptable. Colleagues, let us be clear. Such mistakes do not happen. They are no incident. They are aggressive and dangerous acts.
Now, in response, NATO is launching a program it's calling Eastern Sentry to boost the alliance's defense capabilities on the eastern flank. The announcement on Friday came in the wake of those mass drone incursions into Poland and was delivered by top NATO officials, Secretary General Mark Rutte and NATO's Supreme Allied Commander of Europe, Alexus Grynkewich.
And today, General Grynkewich and I are here to announce that NATO is launching Eastern Sentry to bolster our posture even further along our eastern flank. This military activity will commence in the coming days and will involve a range of assets from allies including Denmark, France, the United Kingdom, Germany and others. In addition to more traditional military capabilities, this effort will also feature elements designed to address the particular challenges associated with the use of drones.
Eastern Sentry will be flexible and agile, delivering even more focused deterrence and defense exactly when and where needed. It will include additional enhanced capabilities. It will integrate air and ground-based defenses, and it will increase information sharing amongst nations. Foremost, it will even further strengthen our posture to shield and protect the alliance.
In a TVP World interview, Michael McKay, former lecturer at the National University of Kyiv Mohila Academy, spoke on whether NATO's new effort will actually make a difference defense-wise, or if it's just a reassurance mission.
I think it's a public reassurance mission. It is repackaging things that already are being done or were announced that will be done. So I think it's purely reassurance. What I'm discouraged is that it is an internal message of reassurance and not a message of any kind to the Russian aggressors, which is what is called for at this moment. I think most policymakers who have been making statements over the past few days have been directing comments at their domestic audience and nothing at all towards the Russians that attacked Poland. And I'm very discouraged at this. I think the Russians see this as a sign of weakness and as a sign that their attack succeeded.
Poland's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Radosław Sikorski, warned that the greatest danger posed by the Russian drone incursion into Polish airspace is Moscow's pattern of following military drills with actual invasions. Now, he added that Poland should adopt Ukraine's system for tracking drone flight paths to better secure its own airspace.
We need to collectively show Putin that there are limits to his hybrid war, where we will stop him. Because remember, this is not an isolated incident. It's part of a pattern. Ukraine has a system of detecting the travel paths of drones, which I believe we should implement. And it has plenty of experience with dealing with drones, both electronically and kinetically, that we need to integrate in our procurement and our doctrine. The biggest threat is that the Russians do what they exercise. They exercised invading Georgia, and they did it. They exercised invading Ukraine, and they've done it. And they exercise attacking primarily Lithuania, I understand, but also Poland, and therefore it's a threatening scenario.
Now, at a press conference with Ukraine's Foreign Minister Andrei Sybiha, Radosław Sikorski also said that, quote, NATO is not at war with Russia, but that Russia is broadening this war beyond Ukraine, echoing the words of Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk.
I need to emphasize that Russia's military provocations necessitate a united front among Ukraine, Europe, and the United States. 48 hours ago, on the night that Russian drones were sent against Poland, 400 drones were sent against Ukraine. We got an inkling of what you are going through every week. And you got 40 missiles in addition. As our Prime Minister said, NATO is not at war with Russia, but Russia is broadening this war beyond Ukraine. And that's why NATO was active in the air, and that's why we shot down the Russian drones, and Putin did not achieve his objectives. We showed ourselves militarily capable to neutralize his drones. He united the Polish nation, and he united Europe, and he united NATO. The intensification of Russian attacks since the Alaska summit with President Trump demonstrates that Moscow is unwilling to make peace, is unwilling to accept a ceasefire that Ukraine unilaterally and unconditionally agreed to. This shows who wants peace and who wants to continue an aggressive war.
And on their end, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and Poland's President Karol Nawrocki held a phone call on Friday to further discuss the Russian drone incursion.
During the call, Starmer reiterated the UK's unwavering support for Poland and NATO. Nawrocki and Starmer also discussed the possibilities of deepening relations between the two countries in the fields of defense and security. Finally, both leaders expressed the desire to meet each other face-to-face, with Starmer also congratulating Nawrocki for winning the Polish presidential elections.
52 political prisoners have been released by the Belarusian regime and sent to Lithuania following a deal with the United States. Now, some of those released actually worked at Belsat, our TVP World sister channel. Let's listen in.
For me, this release is like a breath of fresh air, because if I had not been pardoned now, I would probably have spent 6 years in prison. And it is very scary when you actually spend 6 years in prison for participating in an event in 2020 and for publishing articles about party activities. So, thank you all very much for helping and for giving me hope.
First of all, I would like to thank President Trump.
Thank you, Mr. President. You made an impossible thing.
Thanks to Lithuania, to Poland, to Belarusians, to everyone who is here, that they have always supported us, helped us and made this whole situation possible.
At the colony, they torture you with the cold. They throw you into... I was in Penal Colony 17. What people say is all true. I spent 8 months in solitary confinement, in a very cold cell. So this ex-penal colony chief, Alexander Kornienko, he will also have to be punished someday, but it must happen. And many others. The administrations and staff over there are terrible.
Now, for more on this, do stay tuned to TVP World at 9:16 a.m. CET. Our guest, Alina Kushik, the editor-in-chief of Belsat TV, will be discussing the latest details. Moving on now, Ukrainian refugees will receive welfare benefits only if they are employed and their children attend Polish schools, according to a bill approved by the Polish parliament on Friday. The parliament also extended the suspension of the right to asylum on its border with Belarus for another 60 days. Now, at a parliamentary session, Polish lawmakers extended the right for Ukrainians to reside in Poland until March 2026, but also linked the right to state child benefits to employment. The parliament also greenlit restrictions concerning the use of health care services by adult Ukrainian citizens. The changes were implemented after Polish President Karol Nawrocki vetoed a law extending these rights unconditionally. In a separate vote, lawmakers prolonged the suspension of the right to seek asylum on the border with Belarus, a regulation aimed at counteracting what the Polish government describes as, quote, weaponized migration. Polish Premier Donald Tusk said that the reasons for introducing this restriction have not gone away, and the situation still poses a serious threat to national security. The Netherlands is set to boycott the Eurovision Song Contest next year should Israel be allowed to take part, the country's public broadcaster, Avrotros, has announced. Now, the Eurovision Broadcasting Union, which is the organizer of Eurovision, has drawn criticism from numerous countries over Israeli inclusion in the competition amid what the United Nations says is an ongoing genocide in Gaza. Now, so far, according to the UN, the conflict resulted in the deaths of more than 60,000 Palestinians, including over 18,000 children. Israel, however, disputes these numbers. Against that backdrop, Slovenia, Iceland, Spain, and Ireland have already said they would boycott the contest if Israel remained on the lineup. Now the Netherlands has joined the drive, saying it can no longer justify Israel's participation amid the severe human suffering in Gaza. And that's all for this edition of World News here on TVP World. I'm Diana Skaya, but don't go away. Up next, we have World Talks.